we make it work. Uh, to start, this is not your first New York Comic Con because I remember talking to you for
Yeah.
Let the Right One In.
Yes, ma'am. Exactly.
How is it to come back to this, especially for another horror project, and get to experience yet again a New York Comic Con with horror
Hmm.
fans?
It's always a pleasure to be here. Every time they want to bring me, even just to drink a coffee, I'll come. I'll come and have a good time because I think it's a great thing. Seeing all those characters outside in the street, walking around dressed, that's really great. Um, I was very lucky to be a part of this film, a part of this franchise, part of this sequel. When I saw the first film, that's what I told Scott. Thank you so much for thinking of me for this role because when I saw the film, I thought I want to be a part of something like that. And I'm not a big fan of horror films or horror. I'm not a big fan of the genre, but it's way cooler and easier to and more fun to do this type of projects than to watch them. But this is something else, This is so well made and so well crafted. It goes beyond the genre, and also it's an emotional ride, which you don't find very often in the horror films.
Yeah, and how is it stepping into a sequel? Because it is, obviously people have higher expectations because they know what
Hmm.
the first one is. They love the first one, especially one like this, which was a short story beforehand.
Yeah.
How is it getting to make a sequel where, correct me if I'm wrong, but there isn't this isn't an adaptation. Like there's not, this is a whole thing on
Yeah.
its own. How is it to get to step into that and bring something original to something that already had fans because of the two things before it?
It is a big challenge in different ways, especially if you think about it. And I don't. I prefer not to.
Like that was the big one.
I prefer not to think about that because then you will see your trailer, like scared and no, I don't want to do it. The bar is really high, and but all you need is a great team, a great director, a formidable character, a fantastic story, and that's exactly what we got.
I cannot wait to see it. And I can't wait for everyone else to get to see it. So thank you so much for
Yeah,
talking to me.
thank you
I
so much.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
I love that. I was like, I like that this is an original film. I told Mason, I was like, well, I hope you guys did not read that short story before you started filming the first Black Phone. But it is fun that this one gets to be its kind of own thing because there isn't a story to precede it.
1000%. Yeah.
How much fun is that for you as an actor, especially when it's so focused on Gwen,
Yeah.
getting to exist in something that is technically more original because it doesn't have the story to
I
fall
mean,
back on?
it is Scott and Cargill are such incredibly talented writers, and I feel like I trust them so deeply when it comes to being in their films. Um, so when I was reading the script, I was obviously very, very shocked with the direction that it was taking, for sure. But I was also very grateful that I feel like coming back and playing Gwen, especially in the second movie, it definitely challenged me as an actor. Especially, I feel like I learned so much from making this movie, not only as an actor but as a person as well. And I feel like that's a really important thing to do is learn something from each film that you go on. And I just feel like this entire experience was a lesson, and it taught me so much. And I'm so grateful that I got to work with Ethan this time around because, working with a masterclass actor like that there's nothing like it.
Was it working with Mason to figure out where their sibling relationship was in this movie? Because obviously in the first one,
Yeah.
they were trauma bonded together, but in a very different way than what he went through and what she went through
Definitely.
on the
Yeah.
outside.
I mean, it's definitely interesting in this movie to see how the trauma has shaped them in different ways. Um, Also, the roles are reversed in this film, which is also so interesting to see. But I feel like you get to see how they've kind of grown as, like, their bond has grown stronger as siblings, even though there is kind of a disconnect, with Finn not wanting to deal with the past, and Gwen's dreams are a part of that. And so it's definitely interesting to see that dynamic in the beginning. But I feel like when you are watching the film and throughout it, kind of mainly towards the middle, getting to see how deep deeply they care for each other is just such an important thing, and I feel like you don't get to see that a lot in horror movies, and that's what Scott and Cargill are so great at. They're so great at making you feel so connected and care about the characters that you're watching on screen.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to see it. I told Mason, I was like, I went to Hollywood Horror Nights last year, and the Ethan Hawks, I finally was like, Ethan Hawks, stop, because they
Yeah,
were all
right?
coming at
I
me. I was
know,
like,
there's
enough.
so many of
I was like,
them.
enough of this. But thanks so much for talking with me. I really appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much. I
I
had a
compliment
great
you, because the older that you get, the more I'm like, he is like real American Tom Holland, Peter
Ah.
Parker. Literally every time I watch it in a movie, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's Peter Parker. But
Thank you.
then to see you do something like this, where you get to really kind of dive into horror and trauma and all
Yeah.
those kind of things thrown together, I have to ask you. Obviously, the first movie you were young,
Yeah.
and even though that one is based on a short story, I hope you had not read said short story when you
Mhm.
started it.
Yeah.
How has the adaptation process and working on this
Mhm.
changed since this is original
Yeah.
versus how you kind of heard about
Yeah.
the first one at the time?
I mean, the first one was about, a kid, kind of an outcast finding where he belongs,
Mhm.
and a kid becoming a teenager, and that's already a rough time, and now he has to go through this event, this traumatic event, and that story itself was a very important thing to tell. And going into the second one, I had no idea what was going to happen. I think a lot of people had that reaction as well, and I read the script and I knew it was an important thing to be shown. And now it's a teenager becoming a man
Yeah.
and dealing with the PTSD and trauma of what happened, and you know, uh, I think because of it, how he deals with it is trying not to and pushing all those emotions deep, deep down. And he's angry and he's vengeful and he's just sad inside. And every night he closes his eyes and he sees what happens and he remembers and he smokes weed and
Yeah.
does everything he can to try to drown it out. And I think a lot of people around the world can kind of look at this and be like, shit, and I think the biggest thing is Finney trying to find peace in it and realizing that once he deals with it, that eventually we'll get better.
Yeah, I have to ask you, because obviously this year you had quite a lineup
Mm.
of different movies and genres.
Yeah.
It's like I saw you in Remember Me. God damn it, no, regretting you.
Yeah.
And then obviously you were Hiccup.
Yeah.
But like, how does it feel to get to then, after all that,
Mm.
come back and talk about Finney and
Yeah.
Finney's journey after you got to talk about
Yeah.
different genres and things throughout the year?
It's crazy. It's a crazy full circle moment because we just did the premiere for Black Phone 2 last night at the Chinese theater, and that was where we did the premiere for the first one, and I was just a crazy full circle moment because so much has happened since then, and just the fact I get to return to Finney at the end of this crazy year is really special. It's really, really special to me.
Well,
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it. There's video of me at like haunted horror nights like
Oh,
last
yeah.
year, yelling at Ethan Hawke. I was like, enough,
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke, enough. So I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
And thank you for talking to me. I really
Thank you
appreciate
again.
it.
I
Have a great one.
appreciate it.
Went crazy popular, and so many people made costumes and jokes and memes. As a director, is that something that you either like look and see what they're saying, or you just kind of like, yep, people tell me those things and I'm great, but I'm not engaging in it?
It's a little bit of both. I think like I don't go deep down the rabbit hole because there are many. I try to keep like a bigger picture in mind throughout the process. But there are a lot of people, including Scott Cawthon, who are aware of every little fan base thread that's out there and keeping me apprised of what's important. So that's really helpful as we're trying to figure out how to navigate, including everything that the fan base wants, but also just trying to make a really kick-ass movie.
Yeah, and how much fun has it been to like see like the amount of kids who are like wearing these costumes and stuff at Halloween? Because I've seen so many, and I'm like, what are these kids doing? But like,
Yeah.
it's fun to see them wearing.
Yeah. Well, it's incredible, obviously, and it's something that like predated the movie. Like,
Yeah.
People were so excited about the games for so long and loved these characters for so long. But the fact that like it's been like amplified by the movie and that now the movie has been embraced and like become a part of that world is so amazing. And introduced it to some new fans too, which is great.
Well, I wanted to ask too, obviously with the first one you had a lot riding on it because you had to honor the game but also make it your own.
Mhm.
Now with the second one, was some of that pressure off because you gave the world your version of what Five Nights at Freddy looks like, and then you can now tell what the story you want to in the second one, or is it still kind of that pressure?
Yeah, it's both. Like I feel like what's so fun showing up for a sequel with a lot of the same cast and crew was like, oh, we all know what this is now. Like no one's in the dark. A little bit like in the first movie, it's like everyone's like, oh, well, I hope this will work, because every person's seen a different part of the movie being made, and not necessarily how the whole picture is going to come together and be assembled. So anyway, you're operating on faith, and you're still operating on faith anytime you're making a movie, but coming in on the sequel, everyone just had more skin in the game and like just more knowledge, and so that was really dope. However, I think there's more pressure on a sequel than on a, like, we could have sunk or swum.
But you didn't.
Right.
So now you're like.
So now we're like, oh, well, you gotta do even better now. So the pressure's still on, but we just try to like lean into the excitement of the moment. Yeah.
And for our last feeling, what are you the most excited about for? Maybe like just not all fans, just like one specific fan. Like if you're like, this one person's gonna love that I added this, and is there like one thing that you're like, yeah, there's that one weird person's gonna get it?
Well, so Piper Rubio, who plays Abby, is now one of the biggest FNAF fans on the planet, and there's one kind of like animatronic cameo appearance that she was just losing her mind over. So that felt like the window into, I think, a bunch of fans losing their mind over it. So
I can't wait. Thank you so much for talking to me.
thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.